Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. In the middle of yet another week. And by this time, on the latter end of that, or almost on the latter end of that week, hope you are feeling amazing wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Let's see what we got here today without too much ado about nothing. One more cut and I'm jumping right into it. Two of Wands. A decisive point of action, direction. Definitely looking toward long-term or futuristic effects of your actions. Let's see what we got here. Wow. Two of Wands and then the Five of Pentacles. I'm gonna just keep going backwards again. Even though something was kind of telling me to put that here, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm too tired to think too hard. All right, let's stop here. So we got the Two of Wands, the Five of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, and the Nine of Wands, and then the Magician here on the bottom. To me, it's giving someone that's taking a look back reflectively, especially at this Nine of Wands, at a moment of decision in the past, and perhaps romanticizing the path that was not chosen. So here is the result of a decision that was made. This is how I'm reading it with the Five of Pentacles, on account of someone choosing a definitive path, right? Or taking a definitive action, a certain action. And it may not have yielded the best results ultimately with the Five of Pentacles. The Knight of Cups, it feels like either someone I don't know why I'm feeling like being pacified or like coddled or maybe comforted. Maybe they're desiring comfort. That's what it is. Someone is desiring comfort for I would say despair or grief, but it doesn't look that heavy. It's like somebody's looking for relief from the outcome of their choices, but they don't have anyone to really answer to or account for except for themselves. Literally, like this was them at a time having all of the potential in the world to make a powerful choice to manifest destiny. But this was the point of creativity here, on account of whatever this decision was or choice that was made. And now, there's something about this Nine of Wands looking toward the Knight of Cups that almost feels, it feels like someone feeling sorry for themselves and actually wanting pity, or wanting someone to pick them up or pat them on the back, or rub their back while they cry or something. Maybe actually, I don't know, with the Five of Pentacles here, it literally could be someone unwell that really needs to feel a nurturing touch right now, that needs that, or at least is craving someone to really care for their well-being. But the thing about the Nine of Wands at times that I pick up is this lack of accountability for their own creativity. It's almost like someone feeling entitled to a care, or again, pity, or someone to feel bad for them. On account of what, though? It's like maybe circumstantially it sucks to be going through a hard time. However, you kind of, at the same time, it's like, okay, but whose doing is this? Whose creativity is this? It's like somebody wants to almost kind of create of themselves a victim that, of course, would magneticize, I hate to keep saying pity, but care, concern, there it is, to magneticize concern for them. I don't know, but something about it feels ungrounded, which is perhaps why I feel like it's also unrequited to some degree, or it's just that with this being the Knight of Cups, someone's not really receiving care with the level of sincerity that they truly desire it, or in the magnitude that they either hope to attract it or would want to, or it's just unsatisfying either from who or what they're getting it from, compared to what their needs truly are to feel better, if that makes sense. So either way, it gives that somebody is more or less kicking themselves for a choice that they made that they can't help but acknowledge is the reason for their present position. They're hating the discomfort of the present position that they're in, and the disfavor perhaps of it all. And they're also dissatisfied with the offering of remedy or relief that is available, if any at all. And with all that being said, it's just kind of like, all right, are we gonna, what are we gonna do about it? Back to the Magician. Like, are you going to continue to be looking back to the past and having expectations for something that may or may not come? And even if it were to come, it still wouldn't be the cure-all for what you're experiencing on the inside, because nothing externally really can be. You know, would have to be a cure from the inside out. A relief from the inside out, which I would say in this case would come from somebody first taking accountability for their own experiences, past and present, first before anything. So, and then of course that leaves way to then transmute that energy as a good magician can and will, and to transform that pain into power in some way, shape, or form, or that discomfort into something more productive. But this position is not doing that. The Nine of Wands is not holistically in a place to do that. They're still too fixated on what has already taken place to really ground themselves on what gets to become of it at this point. And that could be the like more or less the element of recycling this disease, because whether it's spiritually or physically, because I just heard something too. Like somebody could actually be unwell and either in refusing to be diagnosed, let alone to be treated. I just felt that real strong. Like they don't even want to either go to the doctor to research and, you know, figure out what's really happening. Maybe because they're afraid of anything being made official, or, you know, they're afraid of the results. And or someone may know that they're unwell in some way, shape, or form, having all the evidence of it, but are refusing to seek treatment or seek help. Still in the sense of like almost not accepting and submitting to their diagnosis. Like if I just ignore it, then it won't be true. Or if I just think otherwise, you know what I mean? Literally manifest it away, or manifest, you know, a thought that I'm cured or I'm healed or whatever, then it must be so. But that's just not how it works. Not in this frequency. It doesn't happen like that, especially if there's any sense of mental instability here with the Nine of Wands. There's no presence. You can't manifest off of the past. You know, like you still have to ground that optimism in the present, in your present form, in your physical being, in your mindset, in your intentions, your actions. And what am I saying in that? Because there's something there with that. Maybe this is someone that's been able to transmute energy in the past in their favor. And they always thought that but see, it wasn't really transmute. I just got that. It was transmitting. There's a difference. That's what it is. Someone has been able to transmit their disease spiritually or physically, outside of themselves or onto others. That's the Five of Pentacles. To release it from their being. And there was this expectation here that that would always be a possibility, or that not even just a possibility. There was something more confident in this activity here, that someone began to rely on it, that they never really needed to physically heal, because as long as they always had the power, let's say, to transmit their discomforts and their dis-eases outside of themselves onto other hosts. But that cycle of intention has been halted. And now someone is here at the Nine of Wands, now having to manage all of the transmissions that they expelled in their physical body, literally manifested in their own physical being. So in the way that they may have been transmitting energy before, it wasn't permanent, which is probably why I keep making a reference to it being something cyclical or continuous, because it's not lawful, basically. It would need to be a continuous effort to maintain that. Or, every time you get sick and you are, that's your fallback, that's your go-to. Eventually, when the scales are balanced, that energy isn't lost or forgotten, which is why a Two of Wands can easily become a 9 here, for perhaps all the times that transmission occurred that was stored up for later. And that's being generous to say only 9 times, because it could have been more than that, but that's just how, the disparity is represented itself. Either way, it has to return to sender. It has to come back to the host that it originally resonated with and from. Now, someone, here it is, at the Two of Wands, would have chosen the path of healing when there was only 2 wands to choose. This other path that was resisted could have been one in which the healing would have been more sustainable. And at that point, there wouldn't be this compounded experience of, let's say, karma returning at the Nine of Wands, because someone would have done their due diligence. It's like somebody avoided, here it is, somebody avoided the suffering by transmitting that energy onto others, so that they could take a higher road to manifestation through their own personal passions, in this case a perverted passion. When if they would have taken this other wand you see here, it might have led through a season of some suffering, but it also would have led to a season of healing, and ultimately to a place of understanding, even through the bumps and bruises and being battered through that experience. It still may have led to a pure emergence of manifestation power that is justified, that is supported. Instead, it seems as though it's led to someone ultimately curbing the manifestation power that they used manipulatively at first, or at a time, to now it's like it's kind of put on pause for a second to have to clear up this energy first with hopes that then it can be resolved and resumed accordingly. But we're about to see what comes up next, because I don't know. You know, it feels a little bit, what I'm saying is deep. You know, like it's quite diabolical, actually. It's beyond just being selfish and irresponsible. It's literally inflicting your pain and discomfort onto others that are either unassuming, or pretty much that. You know, either way you put it, is there's really no justifiable cause to do such a thing. So the natural order of cause and effect would be for someone to have to incur all these wands, all of the repercussions of their actions. And in that case, it's no wonder that they're not really experiencing a sympathy for their circumstances at this point, because, you know, like that's kind of part of the karma as well. Like what would you expect to receive? It's like the fact that there is even a cup being offered at all with the Knight of Cups, I think is pretty generous at this point. You know, that anybody cares or anybody is concerned, given the circumstances, if the circumstances are known, of course. But this person feels like, you know, what about me? It's like that. That's been the question. So it seems that's at least been the motivation behind their actions, is what about me? It's all about me, according to them. So it really begs the question, like, how much someone has even learned from their experience and from the present position as of yet. And it doesn't feel like much. It doesn't feel like they've quite reached a spiritual aha moment and recognize, like, oh, I am the master of my fate, and this is what I've created for myself. I don't know. Because in the same breath, like I said, as soon as that can be realized is as soon as it can be, or at least there can be an intention for it to change for the better. But until that point of self-awareness, someone can have all the potential of creativity in the world. In this season, at this time, it won't matter. It'll be virtually useless. That's not the word I was looking for, but virtually ineffective, I suppose. Because the mindset and the intention is all off. And certainly if someone is still looking back to the past, trying to figure out why they can't do what they've always been able to do before, yeah, it's definitely a no-go. Which is why it seems somebody is stuck in a position that is not, the only thing positive about it is the fact that they're still standing. But this card itself, generally for me, but especially in the message as it's unfolding, is not the most productive one. got the Strength card. Will. Yeah, so it's like somebody put their back into it for the choice that they made. They gave it all they had, left nothing on the table. I mean, worked their fingers to the bone tirelessly day and night to progress the agenda that they had aligned with, and or that whatever they had pledged allegiance to. And that is, I mean, that's pretty frustrating to give all of your energy and time and effort and maybe even money, creativity to something that ultimately proves to be a complete waste of time. To still end up in the Five of Pentacles after all the work you put in, broke, busted, and disgusted. Like that's this whole, well, really more the Five of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands is like personified in those cards. That's a tough pill to swallow. So maybe when somebody takes a cool drink, a nice big gulp of acceptance, you know, they'll have a better chance of swallowing that pill. But right now it seems like somebody is strong in their resistance against, like almost like in disbelief, like how did I get here? I did everything right. I was so bold and resilient, and it's really someone that I feel like there's like a distortion of manifestation matters here, where someone toes that line of manifestation and manipulation really, really close. And somehow along the way, they got those two energies a bit crossed or distorted. And because there may have been results by way of their manipulative intentions and activations, not activations, what am I trying to say? Like their manipulative efforts. There was a growing and a strengthened belief in the power of what they were doing, or at least in the, let's say, it was like a stronger validation for the work that they were putting in. You know, like, well, hell, I must be doing something right if I'm gaining all of these pentacles, and I'm feeling empowered, and I'm feeling strong, I'm feeling bold and creative. And Leo is like, standout energy, maybe gaining popularity, maybe gaining recognition, rewards, becoming a spectacle in some type of way, So it made it hard to build the case that it wasn't a good look if there's so much tangible evidence that is working out for them, So hence why that became like the grounding confirmation for someone to continue on that path, even perhaps in moments when there was room for doubt or question. As I said, to have to continuously transmute negative energy, that means that there is a need for a deeper healing that is not so, topical. Because if that was the case, there wouldn't be a reoccurrence or a new flare-up or whatever this is. I don't know what it is exactly, but that's how I'm saying it. Like the reoccurrence and the let's see, like the reinfection, I guess, I don't know, like maybe, or whatever it is, that was the evidence that something was amiss. You know, when you're constantly experiencing a flare up of something unfavorable, that has to be tended to in some way, shape, or form. It couldn't not be tended to, but how a person chose to do so, which in this case was deflection, was problematic. Instead of that being like a flag, or an alert that something deeper is going on here, or there might be something else I need to get to the bottom of. Someone just kept recycling their same old methods and tactics over and over again, and again having ideal results or desirable results, and then going about their merry little way, on and on and on again, until they couldn't anymore, until everything, perhaps even most recently with this change of transits, seems to just be coming down on someone all at once. And it may not even be just physical, it could be circumstantial, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be all those things at once, material, financial. It's like everything kind of like coming back, like the chicken's coming home to roost personified, is this energy here. And it can be overwhelming in that case, in which one little cup of water, even of the purest form, might not feel sufficient when your mouth is on fire, let alone your house, you know what I mean? God forbid. Or just your life, So, yeah, your life is on fire. Damn, that's crazy. So we got the, I just heard like somebody might really be experiencing some type of burning sensation. Lord, and all those wands, and the page of wands. Oh man, yeah. It could be spiritual, or it could be sexual. It literally could be as practical as that. Like some type of sexual transmission of sorts, on account of making poor choices with your wand, maybe one too many times, or as I've been saying about this transmission, this passing around. Now this is real ugly, but it could be somebody that intentionally was transmitting their infections to other people ritualistically, to rid themselves of the energy. And as I said, that, first of all, that's mystical on a whole nother level. And it also is absolutely not eternal, regardless of what because it may have seemed to worked at a time, it probably projected an illusion that it always would, and it was foolproof. But as I've said, it's like that energy didn't go anywhere far for that long, or maybe it was a long time that somebody's been able to get over, but it still was never far from the source, which is why it was reoccurring in the first place. And now it's right back home where it belongs, literally, with the Page of Wands, like somebody having to deal with themselves at a foundational level, maybe, for the first time actually having to manage their own energetic wellness, because of the fact that they can't transmit it to anyone. Maybe words been dispersed, like the word is out that someone is, dangerous territory. So therefore, like they've kind of become untouchable in some type of way, and not in a good way. If they're ever, well, yeah, there is a good untouchable, but not in this case. Like somebody may be a bit isolated. Again, here it is, feeling like they're deserving of some greater level of sympathy or empathy when they're the creator of this experience for themselves and apparently for others too. So how much sympathy were you really feeling entitled to? This is very interesting here. Not so much, but yeah. And now we got the Empress here. This is giving mom vibes. So maybe their mom is the only one that they can count on for a little bit of love and grace, but even that doesn't feel sufficient. It's like I feel like there's some resentment toward that fact, whether it's actually toward a mother figure or toward the fact that only, like, I just heard, you got a face only a mother could love. Like that's the energy somebody feels in right now. Like it's one thing to have your mother's approval and their care and their consideration, which virtually you feel entitled to anyway, just being a child, right? Usually. But it's one thing when that's all you have and everybody else in the world has turned their back on you or is avoiding you in some way, or maybe even might be after your ass, you know what I mean? Like you could be public enemy number one in this case, I don't know. But there's some type of resentment here that I'm feeling when I'm looking at his face and I'm looking at the mom. Again, that energy of entitlement and a lack of accountability, like they're blame shifting their energy. Oh man, that they may even be trying to transmit their frustrations onto, if it's not a mom, it could even be a partner, or it could be a grandmother, or auntie, some type of maternal presence though, that they want to shift the blame onto, again, for it, like just desperation for relief by any means possible. And in that case, it may or may not, more than likely isn't, for this energy to assume. Say, worst case scenario, somebody feels like, I'm this way because of you, mom, like blaming, because this is like a child, right? So it could be, someone feeling like their mom's to blame for why they have grown to become the man that they are, which there could be a foundational wounding here, some trauma that was incurred at a young age, a young, impressionable age, but that certainly can't be the excuse for a lifetime of poor judgment. Like at some point in time, you become responsible for your own choices and your actions. And that's the part that somebody they're not willing to accept, which is why they're compounding their discomfort to more than just what may be physical and or emotional. It's at a deep spiritual level now, until someone gets real, or until some people get real. Because it's one thing to understand the root of your identity. It's another thing to make that the excuse for your misgivings, I just heard that that commercial in my head when the when the parent is like grilling the kid, right? Like, where did you get these drugs? It's an older commercial. Where did you get you get this? Or something like that. He's like, I learned it from watching you. I got it from you. Oh man. Yeah, no. Like, yes, but no. You know, like we've all had our fair share of traumas and trials and tribulations on account of our upbringing, whether it be familially, societally, culturally, you name it, you know. But that cannot be a crutch forever. And it's certainly not the go-to alibi, you know, or, you know, excuse, I guess I should just say, once things have caught up to you and there's nothing else that can be done about it. This is literally somebody still holding on to the past, but not in a good way. And we got the Ten of Pentacles here, which is family. That is family. And maybe, somebody done squandered a family fortune, or I would say, because then we going from the 5 to the 4, like I feel like someone may have blemished their family legacy. If this is not about money or assets, it's about like almost just bringing shame to your name or something, or bringing shame to your bloodline is what I'm sensing. So, man, somebody done really effed up. They got way more to consider in terms of turning this around than, I don't know, what they may be missing out on, especially as far as the past is concerned. Everything from the past needs to just be like completely released to have any chance of recovering what's been lost here. This could be someone either squandering an inheritance. I feel something really on this idea of it being about blemishing the family name or legacy, though. Maybe even the karmic debt that has been charged to this legacy or this bloodline on account of someone's actions. And that can be past, present, and future. So somebody might have their ancestors to answer to that have long gone. Someone may have their present family members to answer to. And also the legacy that they lead, maybe children, literally children. And it's all about, you know, however their actions have maybe become a bit of an embarrassment on the family name. Back to what I said, like, mama's the only one halfway in your corner right now, and somebody's not even really appreciative. Yeah, 5 of Cups, appreciative of that. But when you're in a deep depression, as this card denotes, it's really hard to see anything positive. It's not impossible, though, but it is hard to see any silver lining in the gray clouds that you feel consumed by. This is why I've been saying as of late, you know, it's not impossible to triumph on the other side of your trial and tribulation, particularly if that's what you may be experiencing this season. But it will take a great deal of strength. That same strength that was invested in all the wrong ways and all, you know, on the path that didn't yield you know, the most productive, prosperous return. It's just what needs to be transmitted in this case, or transferred, I guess I should say, since transmission just has too much of a negative connotation in this message. Transferred to this new leg of the journey. And most people don't even have time to mourn the past right now. Like, you don't have time to be crying over spilled milk, over what you can't change, what's lost, what you shoulda, coulda, woulda did but didn't. You know, like at this point, you gotta pick up the pieces and move forward, even if you have absolutely no clue what direction to go in. Like, you'll get instructions along the way, but you definitely need to move your feet away from anything remotely close to the past, particularly that you can identify as something unfavorable, or, you know, unproductive. Let's try to get one more row. And since it's going, yeah, here's the end of the struggle, but the struggle is definitely real, for sure. Right up under the strength card, too real. Again, here is that, and the Queen of Pentacles is under here. And what's that? Just to see, there's that community sharing, that transmission right there. And then what? The Three of Swords. Yeah, so that was the transmission of energy. Yeah, with the Eight of Swords with the Queen of Pentacles. Somebody may have had a very specific target in mind for their transmissions and transgressions, and it was high value women with a lot of either wealth or assets, maybe energetically, talented, generous, perhaps fertile. Yeah, there was a very specific intention here. It wasn't just, oh, I don't want to feel this pain, or I don't want to deal with this illness, or I don't want to stunt my fun or my growth. No, this was very, it's much more diabolical here. That someone with this Two of Wands, it wasn't just which way do I go? It wasn't, I'm going this way, and this is who I'm after. Look at the Five of Pentacles. This is a masculine and a feminine energy. I'm going to seek out this type of woman, and I'm going, like, everything was very specific, very laid out, mapped out, planned to the T, executed in excellence, like I said, like a full-time damn job. Like somebody was like on a mission to cause disease and misfortune in people's lives, like a spiritual assassin of sorts, or an energy assassin if you don't like the word spiritual. So ain't no wonder, and ain't no telling when this like what may be an ending, and for many, as I've said before, this could be a whole new beginning of carrying this Ten of Wands into this next season, which in a practical sense could be for the next 20 years. That someone could be carrying this burden on their back and being charged with the responsibility to transmute that energy even still. But imagine transmuting here again at the Two of Wands going toward the 5 as opposed to the 9 and the 10. That's a whole lot. And with the Eight of Pentacles now, which in this case is more debt than it is assets. Imagine how much easier the transformation could have been at a time, like, not to regress as the Five of Cups does and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but it helps to realize where you misstepped so you don't do it again. And in this case, this is someone still holding on to the past like there's some type of, like it's some type of golden age, you know what I mean? Like trying to figure out how can I get back to that when it's just so much damage has been done here that it's virtually insane to still be trying to figure out a way to recreate that experience, or literally to take all the information you know now and recreate it, but in a more, you know, in a more productive way, like almost working smarter in their mind as opposed to harder. But that's just not going down like that. Exactly, wow, you didn't see how that spun on my knee just like that. It's someone quite misinformed and misguided. They're still not seeing the truth here. They're not seeing themselves clearly, and they're not seeing the circumstances clearly. What did I just say? Because that might have significance for the title. Damn it. It was something that stuck out to me. I might have to run it back toward the end and see, because there was something that I just said. Usually while I'm in the message, there's a key term that sticks out that I try to remember after when it's time to post, but just that fast, I kind of forgot it. But that's not your problem now, is it? Yeah, somebody's still confused with the moon card here. It's stuck in illusions. I mean, illusions and delusions at this point. Now, here's the thing, right? And here I am being generous again, and, you know, for wherever this transmission may catch fire. When I was kind of like in prayer and getting ready for the message, I was having this thought about how those that are experiencing this unfavorable, like, trial and tribulatory period still have the option to transmute that energy in a way that is much like what they may have done before, but with a greater cause and with more purpose. And how that gets to look is basically being the poster child for transformation, you know, in real time, like actually, it's like how a lot of people were kind of putting on airs and trying to keep up with the Joneses and create these personas and lifestyles that more or less were inflated, you know, for the purposes of, as I said before, I think in the beginning, I said recognition, fame, and some other stuff that I was saying. I think I said that in this message. Even reward or profit. Imagine transmuting that intention to be an example and an inspiration, even as you're going through your transformative era, to be a positive example of it. I mean, not that every experience would have to be positive, but I'll say just being an honest example of it, instead of people still trying to recreate what, you know, what they were projecting before, to no avail, because it's not happening like that. The best way to turn this energy around is to do all that you were doing, but being honest about it, truthfully. So if you had a platform or some type of public influence, to find the pride, you know, and actually being transparent about what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and allowing that to kind of speak for itself. First of all, you won't be short of engagement because people would still want to watch and would be intrigued on any side of the coin to, more or less spectate this process and how one might navigate it so transparently and truthfully. And you wouldn't be short of, well, I guess generally the same thing, you wouldn't be short of attention. Now, how that still may be how the karmic aspect of it may be incurred. I was, channeling a few different things, which doesn't really matter for me to project in this moment, but I'll say it might not all be peaches and roses along the way, but it could actually garner the same thing that was sought in a manipulative form, still having this exact same experience, just, justifiably, righteously even perhaps, but doing it in a way that allows you to at least be, intentional, to be motivated in integrity. And it still has a hint of narcissism attached to it a bit because, it's still like a look at me type of thing. But hey, we all got to get it how we live at some point, but at least it would have some purpose because it would show those that are sharing the experience that it's possible to overcome and gain traction toward, a triumph on the other side. And it would show those that may be having a contrasting experience in some way, shape, or form, as a picture of resilience. You know what I mean? If they care to watch or if they care to tune in, whatever the case may be, but it can still be purposeful that way. Even in the mystique and the mysterium of it all, not really knowing where the path is leading, but still trying to pledge yourself to the ideals of success and stardom, so to speak, and like those things that draw attention that have become like the craving of society in some way, isn't going to happen without it being with pure intentions or with purposeful intentions. It certainly won't have much as great of an impact or a sustainable impact without it being grounded in that effort. So there's a little nugget, that if anybody's out there wondering how they can ever get back, and then, in the process of all of that, honesty and here's the power up. And look, okay, don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about now, because I know I'm on to something with that. It might sound a little bit crazy right now, and it might not be anything that someone would want to even entertain at the moment, but hell, one day it'll make sense. As I've said before, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and doing the same thing to get the same results, you might want to put all of that creativity, ambition, and drive into something that might actually yield some results. Ace of Wands is taking the best and the worst of times and making something creative of it. A transmutation, maybe even alchemy to some degree. And here is the Prophet with the Ace of Pentacles. The return for your investment, the harvest of the fruit of your labor. But in this case, elevated though, because we're talking about more of a divine perspective here. And when the return comes down or is attached to something that is elevated and pure and purposeful, it's absolutely sustainable. Now, I gotta say this because it's under the Four of Pentacles, but keep hope alive on what I said, but just so it be known, some of the retribution that still may need to be repaid before there is clearance could come in the form of still having to balance even an influx of wealth with a great debt, because there's stuff that still needs to be cleared up. Again, somebody bringing all this 10 of Wands into their new beginning, it doesn't just poof disappear. It still has to be cleared and managed, you know, in order for there to be you know, a sense of liberation ultimately. But it's better than trudging again along the path of where you're just constantly in this energy here of the Five of Pentacles and there is no hope in sight. You know, it's really like about a measure of what matters most to you, keeping up appearances and pride and protecting your ego, or really, you know, being free to just be yourself. And the idea in my perspective is that along the way, that healing that is really much needed at the core is probably what you're going to find your way to with that motivation and with those intentions. Most likely. It's certainly available, you know, but like I said, it's like you wouldn't want to be discouraged by the retribution still being incurred along the way, because at least that's on the path to eternality and perhaps even limitlessness, as opposed to where you were headed before, you know, like in the total opposite direction. So, you know, like, it's here, it's available, yeah, but it's a point of decision that no one can be forced to make. Yeah, and it may be a slow turnaround or a slow progression from the point of decision or the initiation of allegiance on a brighter path. But I mean, the Knight of Pentacles usually gets to where he's going eventually, because he has the will and, well, more so the determination to do so. So it's just like, how bad do you want it? Certainly there's been an exhibition of lust for lesser things, you know? So in this case, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Sorry. Oh, man, that's kind of funny, though. Take that as it resonates. Oh, man, I'm going to leave that here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Let's be clear, a Klondike bar in this case, I mean, it could be either one, right? Because if we're talking about a regular old Klondike bar, then there's not much worth in that. But if we're talking about something, you know, more fantastical, I mean, when's the last time you had a Klondike bar? For real, you know? So something that's, you know, that might have a greater resonance or value, figuratively speaking, that's what I think I'm channeling anyway when that came up. So again, take it as it resonates. It's all about what truly matters to you and what you designate value to. All right, so thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.